Her car broke down on a dark, empty road. When the sound of roaring motorcycles grew louder, her heart froze. The infamous Hell's Angels were coming. She braced for the worst. But what happened next would change her life forever. It was close to midnight when Emily's old sedan coughed, jerked, and finally rolled to a stop on a lonely stretch of highway. The headlights dimmed, and the silence of the night swallowed her whole. Emily sat there gripping the steering wheel, her chest tight with panic. She had been driving back from visiting her parents in a small town, planning to reach home before midnight. But now, with the engine dead and no signal on her phone, she was trapped in the middle of nowhere. The highway was empty, with only the distant sound of crickets and the occasional rustle of wind in the trees. She checked her phone again. No bars. Not even one. Her mind raced. What if no one came? What if someone dangerous stopped? She had read too many stories about lonely roads and late-night tragedies. Minutes turned into what felt like hours. Emily wrapped her coat tighter around her shoulders, trying to stay calm. Then she heard it. Distant at first, like a storm rumbling far away, the low, heavy growl of engines. Motorcycles. Her pulse quickened. She leaned forward, peering into the darkness. The sound grew louder, closer, until finally a line of headlights pierced through the night. One bike, then two, then five, maybe more. Her heart sank. The roar filled the night air, rattling her chest. As the motorcycles slowed and surrounded her car, Emily's worst fears clawed at her mind. The Hell's Angels had arrived. Emily froze as the motorcycles rolled to a stop around her car, their engines idling like growling beasts. The men who climbed off them were just as intimidating as she imagined. Leather jackets patched with skulls and flames, chains hanging from belts, heavy boots crunching against the gravel. Their presence swallowed the night. The leader, a tall man with a thick beard and piercing eyes, stepped forward. His jacket bore a patch that read, Hell's Angels, Nomads. His shadow loomed across Emily's car door under the glow of the bike headlights. Emily's hands shook as she fumbled to lock her doors, her heart pounding so loud she could barely hear anything else. She had heard stories of these men, outlaws, fighters, troublemakers. People whispered their name with fear. And now here they were, circling her like wolves around prey. The leader tapped lightly on her window with his gloved knuckle. Tap, tap, tap. Car trouble? His voice was rough, deep, and unexpectedly calm. Emily hesitated, her throat dry. She wanted to scream, to say nothing, but her fear betrayed her. She slowly lowered the window just an inch. It just died, she stammered. Won't start. No signal. I don't know what to do. The man studied her for a long moment. His expression was unreadable under the shadows of his helmet and beard. Then he tilted his head, gave a low whistle, and motioned to one of the bikers behind him. Jimmy, grab the light. Another biker stepped forward, pulling a flashlight from his belt. He crouched near Emily's car, peering under the hood after she reluctantly popped it open. Emily clutched the steering wheel, torn between hope and terror. The leader leaned closer to her window. Relax. Nobody's gonna hurt you. You just got unlucky tonight, sweetheart. But you're lucky we rolled by. His words surprised her. His tone was rough but not cruel, more like a man stating a fact than making a threat. Emily blinked, unsure if she could trust it. Within minutes, the bikers had the hood up and were poking around the engine. Sparks of light bounced across the dark road. Emily sat frozen, whispering silent prayers, every second feeling like forever. Then one of them called out, Battery's shot. Won't go another mile. The leader nodded. All right, we'll tow it. Emily's breath caught. Tow it? She had no money, no way to pay them. Fear returned in a rush. I can't afford. But the man cut her off with a firm wave of his hand. Didn't ask for your money. We take care of our own on the road. And right now, you're on our road." Emily's eyes widened. She didn't know what shocked her more, the words themselves or the fact that the infamous Hell's Angels were offering her help. Emily stepped out of the car hesitantly, clutching her bag like a shield. The night air was cool, filled with the smell of gasoline and leather. The roar of the engines had quieted now, leaving only the clicking of cooling metal and the occasional crunch of boots on gravel. One of the bikers wheeled out a thick tow strap from his saddlebag. With practiced ease, they hooked her car to the back of one of the massive motorcycles. Emily watched, wide-eyed, as the leader barked a few commands. These rough, tattooed men moved like a team, each knowing their role without question. Her car, which had felt like a prison just moments ago, was now in their hands. The leader caught her staring and gave a small smirk. "Relax, doll. We ain't gonna strip it down for parts. We're taking you to town. Safer there." Emily nodded nervously, still not sure what to say. As they prepared the tow, another biker approached her, holding out a leather jacket. "You'll freeze if you stand out here," he said simply. Emily blinked in surprise. The jacket smelled of oil and smoke, but it was warm. She slipped it on, still trembling, but less from fear now and more from confusion. This wasn't what she expected at all. With the car secured, the engines roared back to life, lighting up the dark road in a storm of chrome and fire. Emily climbed into her car, guided by the steady growl of the bike, pulling her along. Behind her, several motorcycles rode in formation, surrounding her like an armored escort. For the first time that night, she felt safe. The road stretched on, endless and empty, but the presence of the bikers kept danger at bay. No car dared speed past. No shadow on the roadside felt threatening anymore. The men she once feared now looked like protectors in the dark. At one point, the leader pulled alongside her car, his massive bike gliding smoothly. He lowered his head to glance at her through the window. "You all right in there?" Emily nodded quickly. Yes, thank you." He gave her a short nod before revving ahead, his taillight glowing red like a beacon for her to follow. By the time the group reached the edge of town, Emily's fear had shifted into something else, something she hadn't felt in hours. Relief. When the engines finally quieted and her car rolled to a stop outside a small roadside diner, Emily sat frozen for a moment, stunned by everything that had just happened. The leader tapped her window again, but this time his face was softer. "Come on, you look like you haven't eaten in days. We'll grab food while Jimmy checks your car." Emily hesitated, but something inside her told her it was okay. Slowly, she opened the door and stepped out, surrounded not by danger, but by unlikely guardians. Inside the small roadside diner, the atmosphere felt almost unreal. The bikers took over a few tables, their heavy boots clunking against the wooden floor, leather jackets creaking as they settled in. Emily sat nervously at the edge of one booth, unsure if she belonged there. A waitress approached with wide eyes, clearly intimidated by the sudden arrival of the Hell's Angels. But instead of barking orders or causing trouble, the leader raised a hand politely. "Coffee for everyone, and get the lady here whatever she wants. Put it on us." Emily glanced at him in surprise. "You don't have to—" He cut her off with a shake of his head. "Don't argue. You've had a rough night." The warmth of the diner, the smell of frying bacon, and the soft hum of voices eased the knot in her chest. She took a sip of water, her hands still trembling slightly. For the first time since her car broke down, she felt human again. As the men chatted among themselves, Emily overheard bits of conversation. They weren't talking about crime or fights. They were talking about families, long rides, and one even joked about his granddaughter starting kindergarten. Her image of them was shattering piece by piece. Finally, the leader turned to her. His eyes, sharp but not unkind, studied her closely. "You thought we were trouble, didn't you?" Emily hesitated, then admitted softly, "Yes, I did." The man leaned back, letting out a low laugh. We get that a lot. But here's the truth. Our brotherhood ain't just about the road. It's about loyalty. We look after our own, and sometimes even strangers who need help. Emily tilted her head. But why me? You didn't even know me. The leader's expression softened. Because once, years ago, I was the one stranded on a dark road. Someone stopped for me when they didn't have to. Changed my life. I figured, if I can do the same for someone else, why wouldn't I? Emily's throat tightened. The fear she once felt had turned into gratitude so strong it almost brought tears to her eyes. And then came the final twist. Jimmy, the biker who had stayed outside to check her car, walked in and tossed the leader her keys. Engine's shot, boss. Won't make it far. But I called my cousin's shop. He'll fix it up for free. Emily's jaw dropped. Free? But I can't. Don't worry about it, Jimmy interrupted with a grin. You'll pay it forward someday. That's how it works. The roar she had once feared, the sound of their engines, their presence, was no longer frightening. It was a sound she would never forget, a sound that now meant safety, loyalty, and a second chance. When dawn broke the next morning, the diner parking lot rumbled alive. Emily stepped outside with the bikers, the crisp morning air brushing against her face. Her car, once a useless shell on the roadside, was now hitched onto a flatbed truck headed toward the cousin's repair shop. She didn't even know how to thank them. The Hells Angels mounted their motorcycles one by one. The engines roared together in unison, filling the small highway with a thunder that once terrified her. But now, to Emily, it was the sound of guardians riding off into the horizon. Before leaving, the leader placed a strong hand on her shoulder. You remember this, kid. Not everyone wearing leather is a monster. Sometimes the people you fear the most are the ones who will stand up for you when no one else will. Emily swallowed hard, her eyes stinging. I'll never forget this. Any of it. The man gave her a nod and walked back to his bike. Within moments, the entire crew roared away, their silhouettes shrinking into the distance. The ground shook beneath her feet, and she realized her life had changed forever. Weeks later, her car was not only fixed but upgraded. New tires, tuned engine, even a fresh coat of paint. She tried to pay, but the repair shop refused. Jimmy told us this one's on the family, the mechanic said with a grin. Emily drove her car home, still thinking about that night. Whenever she passed a group of bikers on the road, she no longer felt fear. Instead, she smiled, silently thanking them for showing her a truth she never would have believed. That compassion often hides in the most unexpected places. And whenever she told the story to friends or family, she always ended it the same way. I was afraid of the Hells Angels, but they changed my life forever.